There's 10 of them all along this rock wall. And I believe that they were there as fisheries. There's no way that this current river, current creek was used for that reason. There's just absolutely no way. Let's see if I can just get one identified for you. There's a Seminole, that's an Indian cemetery right there. There's a little one right here. You can kind of see it at an angle. One really clear one, let's see. No, it's not wanting to play, not today. I believe this is it. It's just not showing it very well. But you see how high they are. Interesting thing, there's water lines, there's lake lines that go through each of them. And the other location, very quickly, I'm gonna go down through the Dalles Dam. Let's see. There's Dalles, Highway 14. And way out in the middle,
and those are along the ancient Columbia or the flooded.
right,
Yeah,
the rock wall I showed you on the picture,
yeah.
this is it. Going down a canyon and up. They're covered all throughout that whole territory. You can see one wall going across there, another one going up over there. They're in the middle of nowhere. They're not holding any game. But if you look at it on Google Earth, and I encourage you to do that,
Yeah.
on a handheld, it's gonna show it a lot clearer than this. You're gonna see those rock walls all the way across. They're even down in this region here, all along on these ridges here, and there's a buffalo ranch right here. They call, there's a zoo there. If you ever get a chance to go down into that little valley, you'll see, there's a zoo. You're right up there. And out in that canyon, across that flat, I believe the Columbia River went across there. And those rock walls are all the way up into those hills, at 900 feet in the air. You go across the other side, and you go into the Dalles. And those rock walls are clear up here. There's one right there. You see it? Looks like a road. That's a rock wall. What in the hell is it doing at 900 feet in the air? Now, if you look at it and you do an elevation on it, 406 feet. You go over here, 397. You go over here, 403 feet. They're following the water line. That's where the lake was, at 407 feet. And it's recorded geologically downriver. There was a dam down there, a slide that came into the water. You have to eat. So these things, these fisheries are following the elevation of the lake. And that's my story to tell you today. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and end there. You guys are
Alan,
getting-
can I ask you this?
Yeah.
On those ridges and coupled with the walls, can one detect like travel corridors
Absolutely.
from one to the other or on
Absolutely.
top of the ridges?
Almost every one of them, on the other side of the canyon, on this side over here, those that are up on the walls, interesting thing about them is every one is near a spring. Like right by this spring, there'll be rock walls around it. Where this spring is, there's rock walls around it. Same thing over here, rock walls.
Final Springs, very close by.
They knew that the salmon would always go back to those same springs. And they put the rock walls right alongside of them. And not far along down, we found pit houses at that same elevation and a little bit above.
Wow.
So if you look at the rock walls, you just look out towards it and above. This one has 8 pit houses alongside of it. 8 pit houses. And that's the legends of the Hopi. Everywhere they went, they stayed in those pit houses. When they left, they covered them up, kept their supplies.
I was always told, don't just look for the pit houses down where we see the water now, like in the last 2,000 years.
Exactly.
And they find those pit houses in very unusual elevations and relief.
Because that's where they were. So I'm gonna show you Felipe Canyon, man, and call it an evening. You know, I'm running way past the time.
Oh, we actually have till 10 to 4.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of a long class, yeah.
Okay.
So you're cool.
Right. Sweating in here.
Do you want a break or anything, or?
There's so much information, I just go ahead and get it
Okay.
to you while I got a
Yeah,
few
sure.
more moments here. This one here, it's really hard to see, but let me see if I can bring it up. This is the rock pit house. Really hard to see. It's huge. That's one side, that's the south side. At about 60 feet. There's my brother right there. And there's the north side. Overlooking the canyon. This is, I think 900 feet elevation.
Is
Where
that
this is.
Felipe?
Huh?
Is that Felipe Canyon?
Yeah, this is Felipe Canyon. See if I can get a better picture of it for you. This is the stones inside them. That stone there is 3.5 feet long. About 1.5 feet wide and 1 foot thick. Now they're hand placed. Interesting, they fit the notches perfectly within the other notch.
You think they may have been shaped?
Huh?
You think they may have been shaped by
I
hand?
think the possibility they were shaped, yes. And they're huge. That one right there, that fell down from a cliff about 60 feet above it. It came down, it hit that rock wall, and all it did was move 3 rocks. That great big thing, almost 3 feet tall. The construction is so good, it did not move that wall. It's huge. So when I came up to this site, I had that dream a month ago. I found it on Google Earth. And go to Felipe Canyon on Nick Zenter's. Felipe Canyon. He does a fly through, Bob Zenter. Bob Bjornstedt does a Felipe Canyon flyover, and you'll be able to see this canyon. Don't go digging up there, it's illegal. But I think you can visit, it shouldn't hurt you, it's right off the road. I got permission from my relations. Lindsay Hadapat, tribal member, owns land up there. You give me the permission to talk about this today. And then above that rock pit house is 3 Vision Quest pits way up high. And this next one I'm gonna show you. I hope I got it. No, I didn't get that other one. But they're rock walls just like that all above Felipe Canyon, there's 10 of them. And all the way down the canyon, all the way down from Biggs Junction, clear to the Dalles, you'll see these rock walls. Some of them, the road drives alongside of them and they're perfect. They're perfect. Then this last one here is where the Columbia River comes through. It didn't come out very clear. This is that canyon where the Columbia River comes through. Made a little dig, sunny side right there, and it comes right by Sadis Pass, right by those fisheries. Problem is, I believe they're saying 12 million years ago. Big problem. That takes, what, we go to 6,000, 12,000, they say? So, I'm here to tell you, we were here a long time ago. Well, I've got more information for you here, but I'm gonna go ahead and read one more thing for you. I'll say one more thing. There were digs done and called the Dalles, Oregon. I encourage you to go down and look at these petroglyphs at Horsesea Park. They're really beautiful. They give some of our stories and histories. There was a site right here where this hand is. One here called the mound. There's a mound here. There's the Condon site and the Maybe site. Just up on top of this ridge, they dug down and they discovered in one place 34,000 artifacts, just in one dig. Just in one dig. That ain't counting the rest of this land. Now what's interesting about this, in 4 of those locations, they discovered artifacts underneath the last known flood. The flood that carved this canyon, that made the Narrows. Whatever that was, those artifacts were already here. They were in place already. They were there when the Columbia River flowed up here. This is where the Columbia River was. Way up here at one time at 900 feet. It was after the floods that took it all the way down here to 300, 200 feet elevation from the Columbia River. There's even a possibility that at one time we submerged. There's evidence that the ocean came up and we backwashed clear to Wenatchee. We found clams at the Kennewick Man site that are square on one end, a whole midden, great big midden, 4 to 6 inch clams, square on one end. Those were only supposed to be on the coast. Not during submergence. Everything came back. So there's so many stories to tell, so much things to learn. And I encourage you guys to go ahead and check some of these things out. Look through this book, Stone Age on the Columbia, read it real well. Try and get some of the information out of there and glean it. Put it into what you know now, and the things that you're learning. The Hopi migration story is real. We're still migrating. And I'd like to say to the European community, welcome home. You belong here. Why do I say that? Because during the Kennewick Man study, there was a DNA search done by, his name was Dr. See, I even wrote it down. It doesn't happen when you write too much stuff. So,
Alan, did you read that passage in, and I bet it's about the same age as the book you were advertising there, Half Son of the Columbia, where Chief Moses gives a 2-page rendition of the flood, and he mostly focused on the aftermath. I forgot what mountain range they were on, he was citing, but he described the carnage of human and non-human things as the water receded somewhat.
man, I heard that. Chief Moses, that's Wenatchee.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Moses, Wenatchee, same thing, huh?
Wenatchee Indian from that region.
That's right.
Same as Mr. Lewis.
Yeah.
Damn good story. That guy was Dr. Eske Willerslev that found the DNA. He did the study and determined that Native American DNA is unique to the Native American continent. We didn't float here from anywhere. Didn't come here anywhere. We're unique to here. But he also discovered that European DNA, the French, the German, the Italian, the English, Your DNA is from America. You're home. That's the white brother we sent across that coast 5,000 years ago, across the blue water, to go and learn the technology and to bring that technology home. So if you have any of those descendancies, your DNA is the same as Native American DNA. Just to let you know. It rewrites history a little bit. It means we made treaties with ourselves.
How about a big
deal
hand
with that? How are we gonna deal with that? Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. Any questions?
Can you take a couple questions?
I can,
maybe?
yeah.
Please, speak up. This is your chance.
Yeah, just a ton of information.
It's a lot, you covered a lot of ground.
Yeah. And I still haven't got to the other part of it, but I'll give you this much as I can.
And I can tell you, probably Penrose Library has several copies of Drummers and Dreamers. That's a very well-written book. Yeah, if you get a chance.
I just ordered that one.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a well-cited book and has a lot of information on it.
Amazon has everything.
Pardon me?
Amazon has everything.
Good. It'll talk about the elite, it'll give you a lot of these stories. The flood story, the story about the lava, the time when we come out of the ground. I think it's all real important. I thank you guys for sharing your time with me today. And I'm more than welcome to come back again. I'll let you know more about what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my question is more on, with all of these sites, basically all over, how well are they protected from people coming in and doing things they shouldn't be doing there?
I'd say we're becoming very well protected. I implemented I busted a lot of pot hunters, sent them to prison, and I'm not afraid to do that, because they were defacing things. It's quite different if you're a class, if you're going there in a designated location with a doctor, or you're in another situation, but if you're there to sell $100 skulls, they're making $10,000 off one skull of antiquity. They've ripped Wallula Gap completely gone. And one of the pictures I didn't get to show you, the Kennewick man, literally.
Well, didn't the railroad, they actually took that, what they call it, the Rosetta Stone of,
They did.
Oregon, and they had that over in
Yeah.
Portland for a
Yeah,
while.
they had it in Portland.
That was a phenomenal 6-ton deal of, and there's a reason they call it Rosetta Stone of Oregon. And it was repatriated back, but not to where it came from. It was repatriated back to C2IR's, as a veteran memorial.
Yeah. It's
So
down
if
there
you're ever
now.
down and, look at this thing they call the Rosetta Rock, it's just phenomenal petroglyphs and pictographs.
Well, I ain't very much on technology, folks, I'm gonna tell you that.
Is that sign-up sheet still going around for the?
Well, if I come back, I'll bring pictures of the swastika and the running man, yeah.
I got a question. I know, just kind of like different questions, but like, were the Hopi in this area as well, like in Pacific Northwest?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and I mean, I look it up and like you say that the Hopi and the Aztecs, they share the same, they actually the same language family.
Right.
So basically, they share the same common ancestry.
Mhm.
So I wonder if you know that like I have no clue about this, so I don't know if Aztecs, people have the same belief with the Hopi
Absolutely.
about like where they're from.
We're all the same family.
Okay, and my main question is like, do you know if like Native American from like, let's say from far away from this like part of North America have similar beliefs, or
Absolutely.
you may know that?
Right, we're one family. At one time, we were part of what's called the White Eagle. And the White Eagle, they tell us, was the first animal created. It the first flyer, who's the boss of all the white animals. He's also the boss of the condor, South America. And the people of the Condor, they kept the sacred sites, Machu Picchu, Lake Titicaca, the Nazca Limes, all those sacred, really beautiful locations. But they lost the spiritual power and they lost the knowledge of what happened to it. They became keepers. The people of Central America are the golden, of the golden eagle. They kept the knowledge, but they lost the sacred sites and the spiritual part was put away. So they created what's called universities, which is the pyramids today. And they put all their symbols and all the knowledge of the creation is there. Our story of life is told on those pyramids, universities. People in North America, those of us at the Bald Eagle, we kept the spiritual ways, Sundance, Vision Quest, we kept our spiritual ceremonies, but we lost the knowledge of who we were. This knowledge I'm sharing with you now was put away from us. As was the language, and I today don't know my full language. It was illegal until 1979. So, yes, we were one people. The spiral, every one who represents it, that family went north, south, east, and west. They go as far east as the East Coast. They say it far south as Chile. And then they go out to the West Coast, and they always say they went far north to the wall of ice. Until one day they went to the wall of ice and all of a sudden it was open. It was warm. And here come through some light-skinned people. They were cold and afraid and they were mean and they took whatever they wanted. And they upset the people in peace. And then one day a boat rolled in from across the eastern waters and they were mean to the people of peace. And they created a bunch of problems. Then they say people from the south, they come up looking for gold and looking for the fountain of youth and all these powers. So yes, we traveled and we belong to another. So every time they did a spiral represents, they went those 4 directions one time. So that spiral, they did that 9 times on the Horn Rapids.
Each
one,
location. Huh?
yeah. And they left their symbols. They left bear tracks, symbols, and pit houses clear across the land. Any other questions?
I was wondering if you could talk more about the pictographs that were along that one branch of the Columbia River. Like, were there certain images shown in the pictographs?
Yeah. Yep, those images are very real, and they're images of what the people created, and many of them we don't know. Some of them we do. They were made out of the oak, the lichen colors on the rocks that I showed you. They used the pigmentation, orange, green, yellow. They mixed those together with plant materials, and the women did most of the painting. The women did that, according to Randy Lewis and Wenatchee. The men's the ones that did the carving of the stone.
Well, that's interesting.
The women held the knowledge. They were the ones that knew how to make the paint. The men didn't. Why? That's how things work. Any other questions?
I better let my class go to their other responsibilities.
Thank you all very much. Have a good day.